hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse.
Is in the certain process of destruction, and a new world order is beating down the door.
Numerous parents, not all fathers, some mothers as well, who are being removed from their children, have to go through an isolation from their kids to the point that not only do they lose access, they lose the relationship, they lose contact, and the children begin to show a certain type of lack of caring, or in some cases even hatred toward their own parent. And I'm one of some of these parents who have had to experience this type of dislike of me, and I love my children, from my own children.
I love them with all my heart. And the idea of someone telling me I can't be with them, I can't see them every day, it's like someone saying, I can't have air. I can't live without air, and I can't live without them. Listen, I would do anything. I just wanted to be with them. You know, I need that, sir. We have a history. And they mean everything to me, and they need me as much as I need them. So please, don't take my kids away from me. Thank you.
Mr. Hillard, you've been able to fool a lot of people into believing that you're a 60-year-old woman. No easy task. And your little speech seemed to be very heartfelt and genuine. But I believe it to be a terrific performance by a very gifted actor, nothing more.
No, it's not that.
The reality, Mr. Hillard, is that your lifestyle over the past months has been very unorthodox. And I refuse to further subject 3 innocent children to your peculiar and potentially harmful behavior. It is this court's decision to award full custody to Mrs. Hillard.
Oh, God, no, sir, please.
You will have supervised visitation rights every Saturday.
Supervised, sir?
Yes. A court liaison will accompany you when you spend time with the children. I am suggesting a period of psychological...
Do fathers have the right to equal access to their children once they divorce?
Do fathers have the right to equal access to the children once they're divorced? And this is because of a report which has just come out, which says that no legislation should be introduced that allows a parental right to shared or equal time for both parents. It was a question about the role of the fathers when families split up. And the report said that there should be no legislation creating a risk of a perception there's a parental right. Benjamin Zephaniah.
I'm not quite sure if I understand this. So the father does not have the right...
Statutory right, equal with the mother.
We can't keep telling fathers to have equal responsibility and not give them equal rights.
Okay. Theresa May.
Family.
So you did not stand in his way from parenting the child?
Not at all.
See, that's the way that it should
No,
be.
and he certainly didn't.
Should encourage people should encourage it.
But
It's
you
better
know,
for
but
the
you
child.
say something about 50-50 custody. I'm not sure if I agree with that particularly. I don't know
Why?
if
What
that,
about it?
Well, because why should it be 50-50?
Well, you're on The View. You have a constituency you have to suck up to, a feminist
No,
constituency.
it has nothing to do with that.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh,
if the
okay.
father is more present, then he should be there more in the divorce.
No. But here's the thing, and that is that I believe that 50-50 custody should be the default position for men who want and earn 50-50 custody. If during a divorce proceeding or custody proceeding, you determine that the father was never there, he's only doing it to spite the mother. He's only taking half of something that he doesn't want to reduce someone else's time. Like in West Virginia has a very important law right now where custody is allocated after an analysis is done of how the parenting duties were divided during the marriage. So, for example, if you and I are married and we have a kid and you go off to work every day, and I come and we get divorced and I say, I would like to have 50-50 custody, and you say, no, you worked all the time, I can go to court in West Virginia and say, well, you worked all the time too. And we both had careers that took us away from the child, so it wasn't like you parented more than I did. But understand also that no one who I work with or no one who I'm in touch with in terms of this issue, like McCormick and people like that, men who abuse their wives, men who abuse their children, men who neglect their children and don't pay their custody and so forth, those people are the enemies of the shared parenting movement.
Of course.
I don't want just anybody to automatically get custody. I want qualified men who want it, because many men don't want it. That's a very important issue as well.
I was called in by a CPS investigator, and I was judged, tried, and convicted in her mind as being extremely guilty before I even arrived at the Collin County CPS office. I tried to explain to her that, again, we had been in a long battle. For 8 months, we had been, my ex-wife and I had been engaged in a highly contentious divorce and custody battle, and that this was a false allegation. Unfortunately, they did not believe me, and I was charged with sexual improprieties with my son. It cost me my teaching, my teaching position, as well as my freedom. I was denied access to my son for over 4 months, despite my attempts to explain and express to CPS that there was a wide variety of brainwashing activities going on by his mother. CPS investigated me for 12 months. It took 3 court trials to be able to finally earn full visitation with my son. Each time, CPS pushed that I would not be allowed to have any visitation with my son in the name of erring on the side of caution. In one particular hearing, the judge even stated that he had heard multiple allegations against me, but yet was never provided any real evidence to support the claims.
How old was your son at the time?
He was 6.
And he was interviewed?
by CPS 3 times. I frequently reported to CPS that my ex-wife was brainwashing him, that she was engaged in parental alienation or pathogenic parenting. For 12 months, CPS refused to believe me. She had a bachelor's degree and experience as a police officer. She had a master's degree in clinical psychology. She had a PhD in criminology and taught courses at the University of Texas at Dallas in victimology. Yet none of that made any difference to CPS and their investigation. For 12 months, CPS believed me to be a danger to my son. They only changed their mind when, after a week-long jury trial, the sole custody of my son was awarded to me, and she was stripped of her parental rights. And after that, she was allowed to go home, and she shot my son, and then shot herself. Only then did CPS begin to believe that maybe she, not I, might have been the problem. I asked, no, I begged, that as CPS is looking to reevaluate how they are taught, to include the role that they can play in highly contentious child custody battles, how that she was able to manipulate them to believing her and not seeing the true evidence that many other medical professionals did see. Parental alienation, pathogenic parenting, hostile aggressive parenting, whatever you might want to call it, is real, and CPS plays a big role in the front lines of protecting children. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very sorry to hear your story and your loss of your son. Very sorry to hear that. Just so I understand maybe the context within which to receive your testimony, is it your opinion that your experience was unique or somehow really the result of a overly aggressive office or the policy of the office in your backyard, or do you think it's more systematic within CPS? I mean, are you testifying today, and is it your opinion that there's a agency problem, or is it a problem maybe with a rogue caseworker or somebody that's overly aggressive? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what you're...
When it comes to children born of extramarital affairs, a new state law gives the decision to the mother as to who will raise them. So if she wants to cut the biological dad out of the equation, she can. And that's what's happened to Aaron Grimes. Tonight, some are asking, does that new state law simply go too far?
Having a child isn't something I take very lightly. It's a responsibility, and that's a responsibility that I want to have.
Aaron says he was looking forward to meeting his son from the very start.
I was excited. She was excited.
She is Shawnita Van Hook Williams, the mother of their son. The two met in 2007, and Aaron says it was love at first sight.
She was a great woman, very attractive, intelligent, fun-loving, easygoing.
And in their 4 years together, he says they were very much in love.
We went to restaurants, we went on vacations, we did a lot of things.
Aaron says Shawnita never wore her wedding ring and that she told him from the very beginning she was not happily married.
The way it was expressed to me, it was more of kind of an arrangement, that they couldn't get divorced at the period of time, whether it was finances or something.
No, that's not the case. That's truly not the case. In 4 years, anybody can get a divorce.
Shawnita's attorney is LaVon Bannister Jackson. She says the 4-year relationship wasn't all wine and roses, but more on that in a moment. Their relationship was no secret, not even to her husband. These photos show them together at family gatherings. Aaron says they were making plans well into the future. So, when she got pregnant, he thought they were both thrilled. On the day he received that phone call, Aaron came quickly here to Henry Ford Hospital in West Bloomfield to be a part of the birth, that wonderful family event. What he didn't expect was to find the woman's husband here before he arrived.
How awkward was that?
Extremely.
His dream of a happy family and raising their little one together with his mother was in trouble.
She wanted more of kind of an arrangement where, you know, they would raise him and she'd kind of find a way to fit me in. I just wasn't comfortable with that.
Shawnita knew that the law was on her side, that it was solely up to her to choose who will raise her son, her husband or her lover. She chose her husband, so Aaron got a lawyer.
Aaron embraced this as an opportunity to be a father. That's what he's wanted to be, and I was quite moved by his story.
So Ari took up Aaron's case, but he didn't get far. A judge tossed it out, citing the new law.
The legislature feels that it would be inconsistent if they say, we're going to give a biological father rights to his own son, even though he's a felon.
In Michigan, it has been on the books for decades that men and women who have an extramarital affair are committing a felony. As of last spring, state lawmakers have made it so that a man who commits this kind of felony can be stopped from raising a child born out of the extramarital affair if he knew the woman was married at the time.
It doesn't dawn on them that the son would have an advantage knowing who his father is.
But State Senator Steve Bita, who wrote the law, says that it is intended to look out for the child's best interest. He explains, under the old law, biological dads who had kids from extramarital affairs had absolutely no standing. Now, dads who did not know the woman they were involved with was married do have legal rights to a child born out of the affair.
It gives an opportunity for the biological father to go into court and to establish paternity in those situations.
Shawnita did not want to appear on camera, but her attorney made it clear Aaron will not be a welcome addition to her client's family.
The baby is the mother's husband's child.
No room for his inclusion here at all?
No. They are a united family.
I want to help raise my son. I want my son to know who he is, the part of him that's me. I want him to know his grandparents, my mother and father. So it's hard for me just to let it go because he's my son. He's a part of me.
At this point, Aaron has no plan to stop fighting for his son and may even legally challenge the new state law. As for child support, Aaron says that he is very willing and able to put money toward his son's upbringing, but his mom isn't interested. As for other men who face a similar fate, child support would be a decision made by a judge.
Parental alienation is the process and result of psychological manipulation of a child into showing unwarranted fear, disrespect, or hostility towards a parent or other family members. Dr. Edward Kruk, who is the Associate Professor of Social Work at the University of British Columbia, specializing in child and family policy, notes that this process can have harmful short-term and long-term effects on children.
It's a serious mental condition for children based on this false belief that the other parent is somehow dangerous or unworthy, or on the other hand, also doesn't care enough for the child to remain in contact and to have a relationship. So children lose the capacity to give love and receive love from that parent, and that is associated with any number of effects: low self-esteem, depression, and children fare poorly in school, struggle with addiction later on, trust issues really stand out, and children begin to internalize that hatred they feel toward the other parent. They feel themselves to be unlovable somehow.
Once the process of parental alienation begins, it's crucial to be proactive in attempting to regain access to your child, because time quickly starts to work against you.
The more time elapses with broken contact, the more likely that alienation takes hold. And although there are some good programs out there that serve to reunify parents and children, nevertheless, passage of time is a real problem. So wherever possible, don't let that time elapse.
Hello world, we are anonymous. No matter how you look at our future, it will have the children of today in it. Society has made laws against things to protect our children from certain things, but seems to fail to enforce these laws. The mind of a child is innocent, delicate, and easily traumatized. however, to add to allowing pedophiles to run free with a slap on the hand, which scars that child mentally and emotionally for the rest of their lives. Parental alienation is growing more and more common. Since it is not recognized, people do it more and more. Aspects of the syndrome include a child custody case, alienating behavior by one parent, almost always the custodial one, that's aided and abetted by institutions that should ameliorate such behavior, alienation's profound effect on children and the gradual removal of the targeted parent from the children's lives. The parent that it's happening to feels it and thinks that nothing can be done about it. They are usually right once they sign an agreed settlement, then the agreement becomes an order. Without their signature, the agreement can be changed before it becomes an order. Parental alienation damages our future by poisoning the minds of these children into thinking that they are not wanted, a burden, etc. In order to alienate children, the parent must have the opportunity to do so, and that means he or she must have the time in which to convince the children of the other parent's defects, ill will, etc. Doing so takes time, and it requires that the other parent not have the time with which to contradict the alienator's false narrative. In other words, it requires the precise conditions family courts so often create for divorcing parents. In the United States, 83% of custodial parents are mothers, and in the UK, Canada, Australia, etc., it's closer to 90%. Plus, standard visitation orders typically give non-custodial fathers only 14% to 20% of the parenting time. In short, the precise preconditions for effective parental alienation of fathers by mothers are ordered by judges on a daily basis. Therefore, when we see alienation, it's very likely a mother doing it, not because mothers are more likely to alienate, but because they have the opportunity to do so. Whatever the case may be, this situation leads our future straight down a blinded path that we work so hard to shine light on our current generation, so we can know the truth and be free from the evil in this world that is on guard even while we sleep. So what if all of our current generation opens their eyes? Are we going to gaze into a future that is destroyed by the pain, hurt, and forced feeling of worthlessness on our children? By means of sick pedophiles that get let loose by the dozens all the time? Or how about the twisted parents that do all they can out of spite toward the other, with an overall result in damaging the mind of their own child? Parents that care more for their hate and greed by using their child to benefit themselves, with the result as another part of humanity becoming another statistic, are no better than the pedophile that uses any child for their own personal pleasures. These are both highly twisted and sadistic, evil, inhumane acts that are towards the innocence of our future that will one day fall cause we allow this through our system. Our broken system uses this as a means to divide families. Cause families that stick together in a just cause are a threat to the elite that hide like cowards in the shadows, playing shadow games until they weaken us just enough so they can show themselves. Without their games and shadows they are nothing, until they are fully successful in making the people weak enough, divided enough, blinded enough, and casual enough to the terrible things that are slowly being fed to the people through their deceptive and very cowardly ways. Wake up. Take stand against this corruption and poison of our future. So I ask you, the people, the one watching this, children are our future, and as a species this is the most important reason to fight against these broken and unfair laws. Because the children are our future, and without them we are at an end. Please call your Congress representative and let them know that in states that have unfair laws in child custody cases that something needs to change. We are anonymous. We can forgive. We do not forget. We are the hive mind of the internet. We are one. And to the evil of this world. Expect us.
Yes, it was a unique situation. Since then I have discovered that no, this is a systematic problem, that it is, as I have talked with people all over the state, they frequently, CPS is called, they do not understand the issues that are associated with parental alienation, the signs, the symptoms, and frequently jump to the wrong conclusion and do not want to fully appreciate that there might be a lot more going on than that they were willing to understand. And again, a lack of understanding, a lack of education, training and exposure to the symptoms, the signs, the causes of parental alienation.